Welcome to launch day for No Problem Parenting. We're here with some of the authors, and I'm excited to share with you today. We have Kelly Flood, and she is one of the authors from No Problem Parenting. Kelly, welcome to the book.
Hey, thank
We're
you.
excited to have you. So why don't you we'll just start off and we'll have you share with everybody, who you are and what you do.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, this is so exciting.
I know,
This is
isn't
my
it?
first time doing anything like this. So I am a relatively recently retired speech language pathologist from close to 30 years practicing in a school board education setting. And, with the gift of the last few years of, is this really who I want to be? Is this really what I want to do? I was able to upgrade my skills, get some coaching certification, learn about human design, and I'm pivoting more now to being a coach for parents using human design tools to help parents raise their children in the most authentic way. And I'm based out of Canada and was offered an opportunity to write a chapter in this book to share a little bit about that. So that's who I am.
That's awesome. I love the human design. I did a whole series on that a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain a little bit for those who don't know what it is?
Sure. It's relatively new to the scene. Like it's younger than 50 years old. It was gifted, I will say, to a gentleman in the 80s. A voice came to him. It was downloaded. It's a design system of many things, the earth, the plants, the animals, people. And all you need to provide is your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. And this beautiful chart and map of who you are shows up. And people like me and many others learn how to read that chart and tell you what is the beautiful gift of who you are and what are you here to bring to the world in your most wonderfully unique, creative way. Because, Sally, there's never been a Sally like you, and there never will be another Sally like you. So take up all that space and shine beautiful who you are. And so it integrates Eastern astrology, Western astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, and quantum physics. And through that, you learn about the blueprint and the map of who you are and how your story accesses all possibilities in this life, and how are you most aligned to show up as yourself in today's life.
Yeah. So how do you think parents can utilize that to help their kids?
So we all can think back to times when we were young and we desperately wanted to be that child or that person. And someone said, well, you shouldn't. Well, as an example, artists don't make a lot of money. The starving artist. And there's a lot of conditioning in our world. We're conditioned by the family stories. We're conditioned by the environments we're in. We're conditioned by ancestral DNA. And so from a parenting lens, when we have our children show up and they do things out of, I'll say, expectations or the norm of what we would hope our child would be like or do, why is that? Because they may very well be the children most authentically aligned with who they are. And it's another way to see your child with the beautiful gifts they are. We'll be very much confronted with some of our own stories and conditioning about I never got to do that. Why should I let my child do that? And it's a lot of sort of onioning, digging through the layers, because the future that's coming is beautiful. And why not allow our children to just be exactly who they're meant to be and show up the most authentic way that they can? And that's how I see it relating to parenting, to recognize all the beautiful gifts the children bring and how can we allow them that without carrying conditioning stories through their life.
Yeah, I love that. So your chapter title is The Gift of Dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come up with that title, and what does that mean?
So, we all have our journeys, right? The title came to me, like, I'd sort of written a thing a while back about an event that happened in my life, and the title came The Gift of Dishes. And so it just sort of stuck. And a friend told me about the opportunity to be a co-author in this book. And I thought this is the perfect time to write about what I call the gift of dishes, and how, for me, doing the dishes is always a calming and centering activity. It brings me back to center. And I know that sounds weird because dishes are like a chore for so many people. And there was a really chaotic time in my life that I write about in the story. And there was an opportunity provided for my son, who at the time had moved out, for us to have a weekly lunch date where doing the dishes together brought us closer together. And that's kind of what the gift of dishes is about.
I love it. You know, one of the things that I find, you know, that brings me, you know, centered is when I clean, you know, and that's kind of I get into the zone when I'm cleaning and picking up and vacuuming, and, you know, that's when I do my best thinking. You know, so that act of, maybe it's just the repetition of doing something on a you know, regular basis, or
there's a piece to it that, if we look at it through sort of a sensory regulation and a co-regulation, and that's, again, a big, huge part of parenting. It's also connected to the human design piece, that when I feel safe in my body, when there are big emotions, I'm better able to support my child when they're having big emotions. But if I don't feel safe in my body and my child is having big emotions, then I may want to not have them have big emotions, because because if they're not having big emotions, then I feel better, right? It's so integrated. And so in doing the dishes, with the warm water, with the smell of the bubbles, with the cleaning of the things, it's an opportunity for me, not for all, but for me, to get into that regulated state so that I am better able to show up when the big emotions happen, because they happen. There's just, they do.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Well, we're talking with the authors of No Problem Parenting. We want to encourage you to head on over to actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP and get your Kindle copy today. Today is launch day, and we are speaking with Kelly Flood. Kelly, it's great to have you here. So what made you decide to write a chapter in a book like this?
So if I look at it through the lens of human design, it was sort of a light up yes sacral to when the opportunity came to me. Prior to that opportunity being presented, I had many people say to me, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write a book? And I'm like, no, I just really don't want to write a book. And at the time, it was just not right timing, not right, whatever opportunities. So it had been a theme. And then it just came out as someone saying, you know, I think you might like to have this opportunity. And everything inside me said yes. And it's just been an easy flow. So it's been the correct yes.
That's great. So what do you want the readers to take away from reading this book and reading your chapter?
We are all cosmic beings, once in a lifetime events in the world. And I've mentioned this many times before. Ram Dass says we're all walking each other home. I don't know your story. You don't know mine. And yet at the same time, I can honor who you are and everything that you've been through. And I believe that this book and all of the different chapters in the book allow us to show everyone who we are uniquely, and how we can support each other in being who we are. And we all have different stops along the way of life, all the journey paths that we're on. And some of them carry significant impacts, and some are just little moments, little coffee shop moments. And the parenting piece, the parenting journey is lifelong. It's lifelong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that many of us have many beautiful supports and strategies and tools and skills to share with all of the parents that are coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So if people want to learn more about human design, if they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
At present, Instagram, Miss_Kelly_Flood. You can see there. My website, kellyflood.ca, will be launching live soon, probably in coordination with this date today. So you'll be able to find me there. As a caveat, my Instagram is kind of personal, so there's a lot of stuff on there that isn't necessarily human design related, but it can be, and you can find me in my links in my bio there.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story in this book, for being a part of it. I want to encourage everyone listening to head on over to actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP and get your copy today. Kelly, thank you so much, and we'll see you around.
Thanks, Sally, and congratulations to all of the authors today.
Yeah, I know. I know this is fun, and it's fun being part of this and launching the book. So and this is your first time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you thought about the process so far?
It's been very easy. It's been very stress-free, which I need. Many of us need. So yeah, it wasn't as daunting as I thought it would be.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you, and just remind everyone to head on over to actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP. Get your Kindle copy there. You can also get some free gifts from the authors there too. So thank you, and we'll talk soon.
One of the things that I've personally found from my experience of working with Action Takers Publishing is that I've walked away with more friends than I had before, because of the relationship that you build with the authors while working in an anthology. I think it's an amazing project to be able to get published. It's a fantastic way to get published the first time, and I've almost seen people who get hooked on doing anthologies, because once that bug is bitten, you feel like you can release more and more and more and more stories, and Linda's got a bunch of titles that I think resonates with a lot of us who live in the real world.